Okay. All right. Hi
Sandy.
guys
Well,
out there. J Cherry here. I got John Flynn who is running for Senate 2022. We're going to have a very lively and interesting conversation about all kinds of things happening in Connecticut that he's been involved in, including some very interesting lawsuits. So without further ado, I'm going to pull him up right here. Hey John, how are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
My
I've,
pleasure.
I've, I've met you 3 or 4 times, but we never really talked.
Yeah.
And I'm watching your stuff, and I am a supporter. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we connected because you've got a lot of stuff going on. So we were just having a very interesting conversation. I don't even know where to jump into this because you've got quite a bit of stuff to share with us about our corrupt state, guys. Okay, because Connecticut is off the charts, out of control. Go ahead. Let's jump right in. Tell me your most
Listen up,
juicy.
people.
Tell me
If
your
you
most
follow
juicy
the
um,
Stephen Barrier trial,
Stephen Barrier trial. Let's get it right into it.
Stephen Barrier was tasered to death on October 23rd, 2019, 9 months ago. We still do not have the police report. The first autopsy said no bruising. We confronted the medical examiner who said it was illegally leaked. He said that his boss gave it to Richard Colangelo, who gave it to the Stanford Advocate. So the videos that you saw from his murder, I call it a murder, the, the kid who was 23 on his birthday was working at Boston Market, closing the, Boston Market every night, and he gets the 10:30 bus to his house. He gets home at 11, so he's a college student working at night, closing, a food business. And what happened was there were staged 911 calls. How do we know? Because he was working, he wasn't home. Uh, the cops repeatedly showed up about every 15 or 20 minutes for hours and hours on recall, all recorded on the doorbell ring video. What you need to know is he was tasered at 1:31 a.m. Six cops approached the door. The fifth and sixth cop break left. The first and second one go right. And the first two guys up to the doorway, we are told, are fired. But now I believe we are told there are 8 people fired. So there's an ongoing investigation. Now, a couple attorneys that work for the mother also called for an FBI investigation and a other types of investigation. There's been 3 investigations already. Unfortunately, I want to cut this short, but
Yeah.
if you follow this trial, you will learn that when at 1:31 when he was tased, the cops came back and staged the body cams at 5:29 a.m. If you watch the 5:29 a.m. videos given to the newspaper, he was dead for 4 hours. He was pronounced dead at 3:10 a.m. These are some of the facts we've released over time. We haven't released everything because we want them to lie in their interrogatories and their depositions because that's what they've been doing up till now. If we catch them in these lies, substantial lies, we've been talking to Lamont's office. We've been talking to Denise Merrill. We've been talking to Tom. We've been talking to the state's attorney. We've been talking to all kinds of people all over the place. And the narrative, let's talk about what's going on with the narrative in the federal government. It's just like what's happening, with the FISA warrants, with the criminal investigation of Trump, and all the hocus pocus magic going on. But when you get right down to it, if Lamont knows what's going on because he spoke to the mother himself and some of these other people, how can the discussion of bribes, which is currently ongoing, be discussed? How can all the other parties I haven't mentioned come into play? And how can someone have 3 different insurance policies on the kid? Who has insurance on a 23-year-old college student?
Yeah,
Totaling
that's
millions, folks. So you have to ask yourself, what are the facts? You haven't heard any. I haven't seen a single fact But what can you learn from this? That Richard Colangelo, I've sued him 5 times already. The first 4 times he had immunity. The 4th time I sued him, it was over 300,000 fraudulent transactions, okay, through multiple clearing firms in Stanford, multiple banks under his jurisdiction as Stanford state's attorney. Now, if you read lately what's going on with the Doulos case, he's being accused now of being a liar. He's accusing the girlfriend of the guy who committed suicide of staging and falsifying evidence, then leaking it. This is exactly what he's doing in the Stephen Barrier case. And to add insult to injury, the family of the Doulos people, who, if she is innocent, I don't know, I haven't seen all the facts, because I know facts in that case that I've never heard anyone discuss, like the ski bag that was like the guy in the driveway who's claiming one thing. See, I know the chauffeur and the nanny.
Wow.
2 of the nannies, okay? So holy moly, right?
Yeah.
They want to stay out of it. But there are facts that are disturbing, and Colangelo's never contacted the nanny or the driver. Hello. The driver lives in Stanford. We met for drinks the other day in Rhode Island all day long in Squamish. It was fantastic. So what I'm saying is, these investigations are handled improperly. There is no due process. There is no collection of accurate information. If the police are staging body cam evidence, the problem in Stanford is worse than most cities. They have 61 rookies and no chief. They have a brand new chief. They had no chief for 6 months. Okay. The state charter, or the Stanford charter, says only the police chief can edit the body cams. Hello. Sean Bogger is into this up to his chin. He's the detective going through the evidence, supposedly logging the taser as evidence. The murder weapon's missing, folks. There's 2 of them. How can a police issue murder weapon disappear? So look at the trials that we're involved in. Yes, now we're involved in a Himes trial. Serious. It's serious.
So
I've been talking to Jim Himes since the day he was elected.
So Jim Himes is, there's a video, and I wish I would have pulled this into the system. Maybe we'll make another plan to share some of the video that is out there. So Jim Himes, that we were talking.
I have 3 of his videos, which he's being accused of some pretty incredible things. So we recently filed a case against Jim Himes. I'm 1/5 of it. There's 4 other parties, and one's a state advocate for the disabled about Washington Village. She's saying 30 people were poisoned when they tore Washington Village down because they were under a timeline that they would lose funding. Jim Himes is taking credit for the building project, but what about the year-long gas leak, the rat-infested apartments, spraying for rats with poison while the people are in the apartment? What about the PCBs? The lot behind it is Ryan Park. It tested at 642 parts PCB, which 1 part is illegal, okay? They piled that dirt up against 18 buildings, which are Section 8. And if you go down all these, I'm talking about the multiple reasons Jim Himes needs to go down. He's been mishandling a securities investigation. He has oversight of the FISA warrants. He's on the Intelligence Committee. So here we go. The FISA warrants that were illegally used on the president are under his jurisdiction. Guess what else is? NASDAQ. Bernie Madoff. He let him off. Somebody else went after him. We've been complaining about Bernie Madoff in Connecticut since 2001. I filed multiple complaints with the SEC and NASDAQ and FINRA. I went to Jim Himes' office 5 times in 2009 and 2010. I explained the entire story, and guess what happened in the financial meltdown of 2008 and 9? Not a single person was criminally prosecuted. One guy was, yes, on a mortgage fraud case separately that's not under Jim Himes' jurisdiction. What I'm saying is, part of this Himes case is 5 different parts. The part where Brian Merlin comes in is critical.
Yeah.
He's saying Himes lives 2 miles from Purdue Pharma. If Purdue Pharma gave 112 million to the DNC, and the DNC never criminally prosecuted Himes, well, then Himes is responsible for 130 deaths per day from opioids, having it been overprescribed. And they lied about its efficacy, they lied about its potency, and how addictive it was. Well, now that led to more problems with the CARE Act and Narcan. They're saying you can't have Narcan, people are relapsing because of the pandemic or whatever the reasons are.
Wait.
The clinics were closed. The
you
clinics
can't
were
get
closed.
Narcan because of...
Hold on. If you had a substance abuse problem and you were addicted to an opioid because you had a knee injury, you know,
Yeah.
no fault of your own, you ended up getting hooked, losing your prescription over time. A lot of doctors overprescribed it. But imagine if you were a State Street Bank employee, who I know and I interviewed. He had a back problem, took an opioid for I think 6 weeks. Okay, fine. He got addicted. He became a drug addict only because he had an addiction that he couldn't handle. Okay, so here you go. What happens when you relapse because the clinics are closed where you take your medication? This is what happened, okay? They relapse. There's no Narcan. Hello. So what's happening is, now, interesting point I'd like to make. Stephen Barrier, who was not on any opioids, was given Narcan twice by the cops and the medics the night he was tased, head to toe, under the chin, tasered in the temple, tasered back of the head. They falsified the autopsy, said no bruising. The Stanford Advocate read that to me over the phone when they got it. They said, Johnny, I know the guy 20 years. Johnny, I'm reading the autopsy for Stephen Barrier. I know you're interested. I go, no bruising? That's bullshit, because all the nurses say head to toe, bruising. Look at the videos. It looks like on one of the videos, he has no forehead left because they dragged him. Now here they go. They captured him at Home Depot. They tased him at 1:30, they tased him in his driveway just to the left. That's a quarter mile away. When they found him, he couldn't walk, non-responsive, slurring, couldn't stand. They picked him up. They dropped him. They picked him up. He couldn't walk. He was moaning. He got in the car. He died in the car. They brought him to the police department, not the hospital. Hello? You have an unconscious kid you tased for, I don't know how many times. He's tased all over his legs, his abdomen, his back. They're supposed to tase only in fatty tissue, which would mean your thigh or your buttocks or someplace like that. But to tase in your neck where there's no fat, that's where your nerve endings are that cause heart problems when you get tased. In other words, if you know the taser law in Connecticut, Connecticut has its own law. No other state has Connecticut's law. You're not allowed a taser anywhere but inside your home. However, according to the law, you're not allowed to bring it to your house. You can't pass the threshold of a sidewalk. You can't drive it on a public street, and you can't mail it. So here we go. You're allowed to use one in your house. However, it's illegal to get it there. A. B. There are states around us like Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts. No tasers for citizens allowed at all. Zero. But if you look at the taser law, the fact that it's misinterpreted or there's different interpretations all over the country plays into this. Because the same company, Taser International, it's called Axon, they make the tasers, they make the body cams. So what's going on is we sued Axon. Just like Winchester's getting sued for Newtown. Okay? They went after the rifle company. Well, we can go after the Axon Taser Company because they have $500 million in cash. They make $500 million annually. It's a very profitable company selling body cams all over the world.
Body cams
they
and
sell
tasers.
The taser as well.
Okay,
so
that's...
here we go. The taser was used illegally, and the body cams are their product. Now, They went back and designed it so that you can falsify the evidence for the police department. Hello? They don't have the videos we have from Ring, the doorbell. Okay? They haven't even bothered to look.
So you
They've
have
never
other videos from a
I
doorbell.
have 50.
So
50.
wow.
They went to his house every 10 minutes till they found him. Then they said at 1:54 they took him into custody. On all those news stations, Channel 12, 6 times, I have them all. The Hour, all the Hearst Media Company, all the way up Channel 8 played it, all the local stations, and the Stamford Advocate all know, because I called them the first day and said, all that crap you're posting is illegal and it's false. It was fabricated by actors. I said, look at the video you posted. I showed it to him. The 21st cop gets out of his car and says, boy, that's Stephen Barrier. He's fast. And he starts chasing a guy down the street. And the guy's pretty far ahead. But under the street light, when he passes, it's a black cop in a uniform, folks. It's not Stephen Barrier. So they had people playing the role in the murder evidence, folks. So I hope to cross-examine that ass and tear him to shreds. And I don't even care if I win my senatorial race. But the only way to win is to spend $50 million or take all these people out to the shed, which is my hopes. You know, I'm the nice guy, really. I'm the nicest guy, people say, that I know. I'm 56 years old. But the fact remains, if they don't have any, I'm taking the gloves off, folks. So I don't care. I myself sued Richard Colangelo for 300 felonies, stock trades in my brokerage firm. So what's going on is, in 2001, I had 6 NASDAQ terminals stolen from my business on Summer Street in Stamford. They were hooked up in Norwalk and Wilton, and they operated my brokerage firm with stolen NASDAQ workstations. Now, I had a state-of-the-art workstation. I could execute as Goldman Sachs. I could be Merrill Lynch. I could be anybody I wanted. I had all the licenses, like 20 licenses. And we made money every day. We never had a day that we lost money. The fact remains, we did IPOs, we did biotechnology research, we had 2 vaccine Merck analysts who wrote biotechnology research, and we followed 400 biotechs that nobody else followed. We got small deals, we did a lot of private placements, we invested in all these companies, and every single stock that we got is missing. We're missing 250,000 Virex. We're missing 250,000 Paladin Labs. Paladin Labs was taken over at $150 a share in a cash deal. That's 37 million, one block of stock. So what's going on is there's a substantial amount of kickbacks in the state to shorten up all this. The fact that the state's attorney can be bribed and take cash bribes, it's closed. We know about the money, where the money is. We have ways of tracking things that nobody has been able to figure out, and that's fine with me. I'm not really gonna, I haven't told you anything that I didn't want you to tell you as far as our strategy is. Our strategy is so freaking awesome. When you see it at the end, you're not gonna believe it. Like, we intend to do certain things. We're where we want to be right now. I started 2 years ago going against Blumenthal, but we have 2 more years, and I'm going to save the best for last. Believe me.
So tell me a little bit more. Let's get into some detail, even with attorneys. So the state attorney is William Tong, Attorney General. Attorney General.
Chief State's Attorney is Richard Colangelo. We have a Himes tape saying, by Himes, saying, you want me to refer the opioid problem to the state's attorney, Tom Colangelo? He calls him the wrong name, first of all. So his name is Richard. But the fact is, if his office is 2 miles from Purdue, he has congressional oversight. How does it work? He has congressional oversight on the Intelligence Committee of the FISA warrants, the SEC. He's also on the Financial Services Committee. So he's responsible for Bank America. Bank America has committed more crimes than all other in the state of Connecticut, than more crimes than any of all the other businesses combined. That's how many. Why? Because the law firm of Bank America has a partner named Judge Adams. Okay? The law firm of Judge Adams is Kelly Dry and Wiring. They're in Stamford. They have 10 attorneys who have claimed to be my attorney that I don't know. Okay? I have filed 31 complaints unanswered with the state bar about 10 attorneys at Bank America working for Judge Adams. And there are worse judges than Judge Adams. There is a case against Malloy that I filed in 2014. I sued Malloy for money laundering. Okay? The trial took 7 days. Malloy never answered. Malloy never showed. He was never deposed. The subpoenas were denied. We got on the stand 2 detectives that had been investigating the fraud that we claimed, check fraud, wire fraud. We sued them under RICO for racketeering. Nobody knows about it. I can give you the case number. It's FSTCV 14-501-4296. Look it up. There's one against Colangelo and NFS. NFS is Fidelity. There's another one about a clearing firm named ComputerShare. It's the largest international fraud. Okay? I'm just saying that what you don't realize is NASDAQ has a Trumbull office called the ACT Desk. All those trades go through Trumbull, Connecticut. That's Jim Himes. Okay? The fact that Bernie Madoff had a hedge fund in Connecticut that never invested the money, he just moved the money around. He never executed trades. The fact that he gave people statements of trades that were executed in their accounts, never executed, all went through Trumbull, Connecticut. Now, Jim Himes sits there on the video. Let's get back to the video that we have. Him saying, I can't prosecute OxyContin. I'm a legislator. I write the law. I can't be involved in the prosecution of the law. He's supposed to refer criminal activity, and he knows about it. So let's get off Oxy for a moment.
So Jim Himes said this.
Hold on, listen. The video we have, right, says, I'm Jim Himes, and I know that we never prosecuted a single financial services company in the 2008 and 9 financial disaster. Well, guess what? Bank America is his largest donor annually since 2008. Guess who his other ones are? So when you look at the list, you follow the money, you can figure out who's getting paid for play. Racketeering, okay? If you look, this topic today was supposed to be 5G. We haven't even said a word. But if you think about what I'm about to say, Richard Blumenthal has videos where he investigated 17 5G companies, okay? And all about it. I wrote letters to all 17 about 3 months ago. Not a single one has responded, which is wonderful. I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to sue them, just like Oxy. 130 people die every day. The fact remains, 600 megahertz, low frequency microwave cooks your testicles because, hold on, Poland and Russia set a limit of 9 megahertz, okay, 9 nanowatts of radiation, okay? So you have 5G, we have 5G, okay, 4G is 40 times weaker. We have, 3 and 4G, okay, in most apartment buildings over 15 floors, subject their people to 1.5 times the Russian limit, okay? 1.5 times so Italy decided, sorry, we can't have kindergartners with laptops because they send and receive all 20 kids, all exposing each other to all the Wi-Fi in the room, and their skulls aren't thick enough. If you take a scan of radiation of Jay Cherry watching a computer, the scan will show like 5% penetration into her brain. But because she's an adult. But for a 5-year-old, it covers a quarter of your eye. In other words, your ear to a quarter of your eye if you were subjected to the radiation. Now, a 5-year-old under the same scenario, their entire body, their entire head, the 5G goes through. Why? Because low frequency 5G is designed to go through cement walls.
It's terrible.
Okay. So here we go. If you look at the facts, we're talking about 5G just because it's a case I haven't filed yet. I'm busy, but you can't possibly do
How
all
many
this
cases do you
while I'm a
have?
painter carpenter. Can you tell? Look at my shoe. Let me hold it up. Oh yeah, I was painting today, but that's okay.
So wait
I
a
have
minute.
time.
How many
I don't sleep.
cases? How many cases do you have?
I filed over 350, which is pretty good. Money laundering, murder for hire, repeated home invasion cases. I've never done a DCF case, but there's one I'm going to do, and it's the worst case anyone's ever heard of. I haven't done it yet. I haven't met the lady. She lives in, I think she lives in Kentucky or Tennessee. It happened in Connecticut, but I haven't gotten it together because it's such a touchy subject.
Oh, I think I know the case you might be referring to. Is it the one
I've been working on it.
with the woman who lost her baby to the state of Connecticut?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get there. And that's designed, DCF is like a judge itself. It's above the law, actually. It's beyond jurisprudence. It's in another category. The judge just says, oh, I trust DCF. Whatever their findings are, I'm agreeing with. Meanwhile, the judge took the kid. You know the kid you're talking about, the judge has custody with the clerk.
I did not realize the judge took the child.
Hello? That's what makes it so bad.
Oh my God. You mean the judge
You
got
know
that woman's child?
Oh, yes.
Oh my
The
God.
court clerk got custody of the baby they stole.
Wow.
And the judge is her boyfriend. Hello, leave it up to me. I'm going to take care of that. I just don't have enough time. So anyway.
Okay, so back to the 5G.
Really good shit out there, people. Excuse my French. I don't swear ever. I never do. But that's what it is. And there's no other way to describe it. But yeah, there's a lot to be said and a lot to be done. And if you guys knew Judge Heller, how bad she was, Judge Irene Jacobs, does anyone ever deal with her? Let me tell you what happened with Judge Provader. Are you ready? You tell me. Ready? You have an open mind?
I have an open mind.
Provader was counsel to the city of Stamford for 25 years. The last 10 years he worked with Police Chief Larrabee. Does that ring a bell? No?
No.
Okay. Larrabee and Provader, counsel to the city of Stamford, and police chief worked for Malloy for 10 years. Malloy. Oh, when Malloy became governor, he made Provader a judge.
Of course he would.
And they steer his cases to Provader. So what happens when you sue Malloy? Guess what? No jury, no evidence, no interrogatories, no request for production, no admissions, no appeal, no nothing. And you can accuse them of, I accused them of about 45 pages of stuff, and it's all got teeth. I'm saying they used informants to kill people. They used the same informant 3 times. His name is Richard Filippelli. Google his police record. He's in jail right now for 5 years for robbing a Motel 6 at gunpoint for $250. Unfortunately, he was in State versus Riddle, where he was hired by a dirty cop to kill a clean cop named Dealey. He was also hired by a dirty cop to kill a clean cop named Lamb. He was also in the East Haven FBI sting operation of Miller, Zullo, Carey. Carey testified they were trained to falsify police reports to justify false arrest. Hello? Miller is the worst one. Miller was the police union president. Hello. Larrabee, who was chief of Stamford under Malloy, became chief in East Haven during the FBI sting operation where Miller, Zullo, Carey, and the fourth guy is, I forget. He's a winner too. But if you look at the facts, Larrabee was a lazy slob in Stanford, left to get another chief position, stepped on a hornet's nest up there, and covered the entire thing up. How do I know? Because the same informant they sent to kill Dealey and Lamb, they sent to my brokerage office in East Haven, not my Stanford office where I worked, but the East Haven office. That informant that I'm talking to you about, who had 77 arrests at the time that he pulled this, broke into my brokerage firm for them so many times, he established residency, and I had to evict him as a John Doe. Hello?
What?
Hello? I have files and files, cases and documents all over the place. They maintained he was my tenant for 9 months. I didn't know his name.
Wow.
I got a call. Check it out. I have all these tapes. There's about 70 tapes dealing with East Haven that I have. They called me on a Friday night and said, can you be at your office tomorrow at 10 o'clock? I said, sure. You know, it's 38 miles away, Norwalk to East Haven.
Mm-hmm.
I go there. I go in my house. Then I renovated a foreclosure. I did the bottom. I was doing the roof and the windows. I bought 25 new windows at Rings End. They were expensive, Marvin windows. It's a sweet location. But when I went there, I heard something in the basement. The guy was waiting for me in the basement with an axe. Now, he didn't know I would be wearing my utility belt with a hammer. So he said, we had an argument for 5 minutes verbally. And then he says, what are you talking about? I said, I'm calling 911. He goes, they're not coming. They sent me. I go, what? I called the 911 30 times. I have all 30 911 calls. Why? They never gave it to me. East Haven never gave it to me. A woman who retired felt sorry for me and mailed them to me upon her. She took a pension and she retired. So I'd like to thank her if she sees this. You're my pal. You know, I kept going to the window saying, here's a FOIA, here's a this. By the way, I have 25 unanswered FOIA with just Norwalk. I have a lot of FOIA. I've never gotten one back, ever. So there's got to be something wrong with filing 350 lawsuits, as many subpoenas as I have, and never have gotten one. Not one. I've never, ever taken anyone's deposition. I have a case where I had scheduled 40. One case. It's a doozy. You know, there's a lot of transactions in it, and it's money laundering, bank fraud, check fraud, wire fraud, securities fraud, accounting fraud. It goes on and on and on. Let me tell you, there is a problem with certain departments that, for example, I have a file on Harry Rilling, mayor of Norwalk. I have his emails to his detectives. He's instructing them, oh, there's a long list of financial crimes in Norwalk that will never be investigated. Did you hear what I just said?
That's terrible.
Okay. So hold on a second. It gets better.
Terrible.
I'm not telling you what's in this file. There is stuff in this file that if people read it, they would be absolutely furious. These are the same detectives handling murder cases that never get solved. Okay? You understand? So it's important that, you know, like if you have a pedophile, they had a pedophile working there, whose 7 boys came out and said, he touched me. He was the youth guy, okay? I know the guy since 1979, okay? He went to my high school with me. We were friendly, not great friends or anything, but excuse me. There's so much going on at this place. They don't hassle me anymore, really. They used to hassle me all the time. They don't pull me over now at all, okay? I can do anything I want now. You know, I don't want to say that, and I wouldn't. But there's a lot of crime going on, and yes, it's a big deal in the state, and the only way to uncover it is to actually take them down. That's so I don't want to speak anymore. But there are cases I can ask specific questions to. You know, you should follow Stephen Barrier. I believe there is a huge sting operation. I believe there's going to be 30 arrests in the next 30 days. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to sue all those agents. Oh, yes, I am. And if they don't, I'm giving them all the time in the world. I've been calling them for 20 years. I have a tape from 2018. Everyone in Connecticut should listen to because they're explaining on the tape. And if the biggest part about this is Jim Comey ran the FBI in Hartford before he went down. Jim Comey is from Hartford.
I didn't know that.
Westport. Yeah, hello. Follow this thing. I am telling you, there is so much compelling evidence. Like you knew everything was corrupt.
Oh,
but
God.
Did you know Comey was from Westport?
No.
And guess what? Did you know Richard Blumenthal brought him down to Washington to do the Hillary investigation? Hillary Clinton Foundation?
Oh, my God.
Did you know this?
No.
Did you know Blumenthal wrote the Green New Deal?
What?
Yeah, hello.
What?
Did you know?
No.
Yeah, that's his. He wrote it.
Blumenthal.
Oh, you think I'm full of crap?
No,
I know. I mean, I like you. Okay, there's nothing not to like. I'm saying I'm glad I'm not the only person out there banging the drum. Okay, we get 10 more people like you. We have enough information to sink this ship, and I don't want to bring Connecticut down. I will liberate Connecticut. If they don't arrest Colangelo, I will personally arrest Tom myself. I'll grab him, I'll put him in a car, and I will arrest him, and I'll do it properly, and I'll be within my rights to, next time he goes to Home Depot, I know where he's shopping. He asks me all these HVAC questions in the HVAC aisle. He's like, hey, he goes, hey, you know anything about HVAC? I go, yes, Mr. Tom. He had a mask on, and I had a mask on, and I recorded it. So I got the pictures. It's all good. I said, well, he knows who I am now. I tried to friend him on Facebook and he declined. So the fact remains, people, there's enough evidence to crucify these people. And I'm not talking about crucifying an innocent person and letting Barabbas free. I'm talking about taking down these kingpins. And I believe I have a lot of information that I'm not allowed to repeat, but I believe these FBI what was it? The city in Ohio just got 187 FBI agents to police their stuff, and then the other city got them. Not Ohio. Kansas City got 190 FBI agents on loan from Barr. Well, let me tell you, there are quite a few FBI agents in Connecticut that I have run into that I discovered were agents. And three of them, I think, follow my Facebook page. But I don't talk to them because we really can't talk. But if you file a complaint with the FBI, which I've done numerous times, they never tell you what they're going to do. They can't say, oh, we're going to follow up on this, follow up on that. And, that's why it's a terrible organization. Because Comey thinks he can get away with whatever he wants, obviously. The fact that the FISA warrants were falsified under Hines' jurisdiction gives me cause for concern.
Yeah.
Hines has been saying for 3 terms that he has documented evidence of President Trump's collusion with the Russians. This is what he said at the Harry Aurora debate. Hi, I recorded that too. Guess what? If the Mueller investigation didn't find any, and no one else has, and it turns out that Biden, truthfully, is guilty of bribery. I mean, Biden straight up threatened the president of Ukraine. Murphy, I sued Murphy saying the president of the United States says Murphy committed treason. I asked for a declaratory judgment in Stanford Superior Court saying, hey, the commander in chief says Senator Murphy committed treason. I'd like your determination whether he committed treason or not. Here's his statement. Here's the link. Here's him saying it on national television. Hi, if you investigate on behalf of Trump, if you investigate Biden on behalf of Trump, we will cut all Democratic funding from Congress to the country of Ukraine. He said that. Those were his exact words. That is threatening. That's not our policy. That's not for Murphy to decide. He's in the foreign relations thing. Look at Libya. He just screwed the pooch on that thing. They lost 5 hospitals in that explosion. Where is he on that? No comment. Hello. That in of itself, they're saying right now that Lebanon may no longer be a country. It's that screwed up now over that detonation of that gigantic bomb.
Wow.
So, I understand we have problems, and Chris Murphy's the last person in the world who should be our senator because he's doing what he thinks is proper, not what our foreign relations should be doing, which is determined by the.
I don't know why Connecticut keeps voting. Like Chris Murphy is god awful for the people of this state on so many levels.
I know.
I don't understand.
He's doing right now. His book came out today. Did you see that?
What?
He wrote a book on guns.
He wrote a book
said,
on guns.
Okay, now he's calling for them defunding, the police and removing police officers from schools.
Yeah, so how are people going to defend themselves when you've got these, like, in our town, we've had a lot of robberies lately. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's a systemic thing that's starting to happen throughout the entire country. But people, with these governors locking down the state and people have no livelihood, and then the turmoil and these roaming
let's
groups.
Put it this way. The governor went to every municipality and said, by the way, I don't want you to follow federal law. I want you to not follow ICE. They started to say, let's defund ICE. You say, wait a minute. Did the governor just say, don't follow federal law? Holy moly. That's treason too. So here we go. We got all of our senators involved in crap. We have all our congressmen. Rosa DeLauro, I have a file on her that, what I say is, I can help the candidate running against her. I have a file on Rosa DeLauro. No interest. Really? Oh, Joe Courtney? Oh, you want to know about Joe Courtney? Oh, I'm not doing a smear campaign. Like, excuse me? You're not going to win if you don't go up and take that seat. Hello. I'm going to take Blumenthal's seat the hard way. It's going to cost us both a lot of pain and suffering. But I'm going to get it, okay? And people say, oh, you're crazy. You know what? That's what it's going to take. I'm doing it. I'm in 100%. So, talk.
I really appreciate you taking the time, John. And we're running.
We're done.
We've gone on.
No one's going to watch this unless they got to those juicy points. Like, you didn't know Comey was from Connecticut?
That was awesome. So,
hey, by the way, Manafort's from New Britain.
What?
Yeah. He's guilty as sin, right? And he's a Republican, I might add.
Well, you got a wellspring of information, so let's make another date where we can talk and trade off some of these tapes and stuff that you have.
Other parties involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone you choose.
What was that?
Yeah, because I think what's going to happen is, like in Stephen Barrier, go back to that.
Yeah.
They filed a motion to dismiss. Okay, it's in September. Black Lives Matter has already contacted me saying, do you need us to come? I said, I don't need 1,000 people. I need 5 well-dressed people to stand there and say nothing. And they said, that's not what we do. I said, hold on a second. If you respect the court and just show up, if 20 people walked in, stood in the back, said nothing, did nothing, and observed, and then at the end, walked out into the hallway, the judge would say, geez, you know what? I can't dismiss this case. What if 3,000 come to the state courthouse next week? Like, hello, you hear what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
we're asking for is justice. They're militants. I don't need Black Lives Matter. I totally don't appreciate the black on black violence thing. I do agree about everyone having basic human rights, okay? But we can't have the chief state's attorney falsifying the autopsy. Now, he got the autopsy from Gill, who got it from Hayes. I already spoke to Hayes, our medical examiner. The state falsified the autopsy, leaked it through the state's attorney to the Stanford Advocate, and they published it. Then what happened? Then they took the body cam evidence, went to the Hour. Then they took the body cam evidence, went to News Channel 12 5 times. Melissa Alter is like, you're telling me this is all false? I go, well, wait and learn. You'll see. You'll see. I said to all these news agencies, you falsified and promoted evidence. Why don't you just give me $100 million now? They're like, what? The richest guy at CNN is that kid from Covington, Kentucky. He's the highest paid employee with the MAGA hat. I swear to God. Why he stood there, he took it, they falsified the stuff. You should read the emails between me and Mike Pignataro at the Hour. Dude, you owe me 50 revisions. You need to take back everything you said. Why?
Fascinating
Well,
stuff.
yeah.
When is the
you know
court
what?
date for?
We have to go after the media too.
Well, absolutely. When is
Well,
the
how do
court
you do
date?
that?
When is
When
the,
your friends
when is the court date for Barrier?
September 20th. I'll have to let you know for sure.
Yeah,
I don't
let
want to
me
say.
know.
By the way, the court case number is FST CV 20. That's the year, right? 502 3122 S. But that's not the important one. That's the one that is the Stephen Barrier trial. I'm a plaintiff. The father's a plaintiff. The mother's a plaintiff. The boy's a plaintiff. Elizabeth Greenwood, the state advocate for the disabled, is helping me, the blind lady who you met. The defendants are Axon, Colangelo, the city of Stanford, and there's one other. Oh, Michael Hayes, the medical examiner. So we brought the state in. We have to get permission to sue the state. I've sued the state so many times.
You got to get permission to sue
Guess
the
what?
state.
Not a single one went to trial. And I sued for some pretty hairy things. I have multiple cases where the state used informants that hurt people, and they didn't go to trial. They were never settled. They were dismissed, and the appeal was never. I have lots of them. I can give you numbers after. I have 250 cases that are really bad. Yeah. I didn't just pick, the latest one's about Himes and this and Murphy. If we can get a judge, think about this. If we can get a judge to say, because we have a popular opinion demanding justice against Chris Murphy, that he committed treason, there is not a Democratic judge that will say that Chris Murphy committed treason in Connecticut. Will that guy ruin his own career because he lied? And everybody knows it. So the press wrote the article. I already told 3 news agencies. I have a friend down the street who he offers them stuff. They say no all the time. So what? It doesn't matter, because the longer they wait on this one, the worse they're going to look. Here we go. They may have to give that ruling to a Republican judge. Now, Gennaro is the only one in Stanford. So Gennaro won't take the case because I know him. Okay. He won't approve fee waivers. And think about it. We filed a case on behalf of 285 kids with asthma in Norwalk that live next to the stone crusher. That's been there for 50 years. They crush cement. It goes in the air. It's never covered. Zoning says you have to cover the piles of crushed cement. It contains carcinogens, chromium, arsenic. The worst one is silica. It's called iron lung. So here we go. When you're 5 years old, you can't live next to a stone crushing facility with your windows open and 90-degree heat in July during a pandemic. Hello. Those piles are never covered. I've been suing them. I filed the case 5 times already. Okay. What happens is I add more people every time I sue them. This time we have 285. Somebody says, oh, my kid has asthma. Guess what? 6 houses in a row on my street. We're 3 blocks. This lady, Terry, thyroid cancer. This lady and her son, next door, a painter, and her son, Yanni, asthma. The next guy, butcher, asthma. The next lady, 90 years old, asthma. Okay, the next one is a 2-year-old with asthma. The next house, the mother and the father, asthma. We have 13 houses, 13 people in 6 houses on my street. We're 3 blocks away. There are houses down the hill from me, as the bird flies, with 6 people with cancer in the family. The only one without cancer had a stroke. There's a lady on the corner of Sheridan, which is an L. Go 10 houses down, make a right. 1 Sheridan, knock on her door. Brain cancer. The boys have asthma. The girl has thyroid cancer.
It's terrible.
4 houses from stone crushing. That's good. We don't have people dropping dead in Norwalk from stone crushing, but Bridgeport does.
Wow.
7-year-old dead, asthma. You look at the thing, they crushed cement in Washington Village with the people there. 5 of them on oxygen. 5. One lady was 500 pounds. They had to take her out with a forklift, stuck in her apartment. And the HUD, we get back to Himes. The HUD has a guideline. You're taking a building down, there's all these risks. High-risk people need to leave first. Move them out first. Let the younger, stronger ones in an apartment stay towards the end. Okay, what they did was the exact opposite. The high-risk people, were all 30, were left till last at Washington Village under Jim Himes. They had human fecal matter in their basements. They had water wicking up, and the rats from the basement came into the apartments whenever the tide was too high. So Washington Village flooded when there's a full moon or high winds or high rain. It floods once a week now. Back then, when it was under construction, they had piled the PCB dirt against the buildings, and the mothers were carrying their kids and the groceries over the PCBs, tracking the dirt into the houses, not knowing. By the way, there are problems with the Health and Safety Commission. There's the problems in Norwalk, the Ethics Board. I filed 13 cases in 2019. They've never been heard. They have 30 days to appoint the panel. Okay, guess what? It's a nightmare. So, we were going to stop 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, we were. So
yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, wow. You know, I really appreciate you.
We're just touching the surface.
So we'll make another date. Yeah, we'll have to wrap it up. I really appreciate this. You just blew my mind. So
well, you said they were corrupt.
Corrupt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, hold on. I have the evidence. So let's go. I have 100 cases of evidence.
So let's book another date, because we're just about at an hour, and it's good to wrap it up at an hour so that we can get too much information. It just gets overwhelming, and you've got like a wellspring of stuff, and I want to know more about all of this that you're talking about and get into more detail. You have to follow the cases as they go. Absolutely.
Because if you want to ask questions to your senator, all you have to do is follow the case and send me an email, and I'll put it in the mail. It'll be like, hello, this is your 55th interrogatory you got to answer. You have 30 days or you're in contempt of court. He's never going to stop. They're never going to stop. The good thing is that, do you know what an admission is?
Yeah.
Do you know what a court admission is? It basically says, oh, Jay Cherry, you committed murder on July 1st, 1999. And you go, no, and that's all it says. If it's an admission and you don't answer in 30 days, it becomes an undeniable fact.
Wow.
So, meanwhile, I've sent hundreds of admissions in over the years. I wait till last and I do a one-liner like, oh, well, basically, you murdered everyone and then you did all these unspeakable things, and they still don't answer. But when you have a senator and you can ask them the right questions. There's some questions for Blumenthal that will blow your mind. No, you'd have no idea.
I can imagine. I
No,
can
you can't.
imagine.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, because he's so good at it. Nobody suspects him.
No.
No, but look, I mean, if you want to look at some guilty parties, Bob Duff he's a kingpin.
Oh, I can't. Don't even get
You
me
have no
started on
idea.
it. But
You
we
have no
got to
idea.
wrap it up.
I have an idea. But he won't answer any questions. I've met him like 30 times. He will not speak to me. He will not pick me out of a crowd and answer questions. There's no way. But so that's the key. That's the key. With people like you, we can reach every single town, 169 towns. Yep.
Let's do it. Let's make another date.
And by the way, half of them support you already. The bigger cities we got to work on.
Yeah.
Hartford, New Haven. What? Did you see the thing I sent you? No? Hartford, New Haven, Waterbury political page on Facebook.
Did you send that to me?
I'll send it to you again.
Send it to me again. Sometimes Messenger gets backed up. I just started the page. Okay, you know you have like
Wilton politics, or you have Norwalk politics?
Yeah.
I have these 5 major cities politics. Hartford, New Haven, Waterbury, Stamford, and whatever, Norwalk. And
I know what we should do. Here's what the plan is. We should go through.
But say we had 100,000 people on there, right? And you posted your best stuff there and only your best stuff. And everybody agreed, I'm only going to post my best stuff. It may not be as good as somebody else's best stuff, but it's something they care about. So here we go. A woman who has her child in DCF has got one thing on her mind for the next 10 years, and it's this child. The fact is, she's stewing and brewing. That's all she can think about, and that's all she cares about, okay? There are other people in other categories that would say, gee, I just have to talk to people about this. It's a political thing. It's happened to me. And then, what do you know? 10,000 other women say, I can't believe this happened to her. We have to do something. And that's the only way that you're going to change the policy of DCF, because it's a closed door. You have no access. You can't get records. You can't, look at this. Look at the medical thing. You can't get through HIPAA. You can't get through. They can't release information on their clients. Okay, I have a client. Ready? I have a friend. He died of COVID. Guess what? He worked at Emerson. Emerson has a Chinese branch, Branson Ultrasonics. It's in Danbury, okay? Okay, 150 employees, office in China, manufacturing facility in China, salesman. They sent their Chinese people infected back to the United States. 3 of them had the Wuhan virus. Okay, Joe, who lives in West Haven, met with them, got it, misdiagnosed, liver failure, coma, 8 weeks, died. Perfectly healthy, 55.
That's terrible.
The fact is, they got a PPP loan from Connecticut, okay, just recently, $10 million.
Wow.
They let all their employees go, and they hired all people from New Jersey and Massachusetts to work, to take over for every employee, because why? Tell me why they let 150 people go in Connecticut on a Connecticut-paid PPE loan to Emerson through Jim Himes.
Terrible. That's terrible.
It's bad.
And that's a good place to end, because we got to wrap it up.
Perfect place to end. You're the
perfect place to end. Thank you so much, John. We'll be live again. You got a wellspring of stuff to say. All right, so we're going to go. We'll be live again. We're going to uncover corrupt Connecticut.
Next time I'm going to give you the topics, and you're going to be, researching them, and then you're going to have 10 bullet points, and then we're going to get some heavy-duty hitters to help us.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you. I applaud you.
Thank you so much. I applaud you. Thank you.
I've seen only 3 of your things, but I am now your #1 fan.
Thank you so much.
Jennifer Hood, who the hell is that? It says it on your screen.
Thank you. We'll be live again. Okay.
You're like Cherry Coke. All right, cool.
All right.
Say goodbye. I never do.
Bye bye. So that was great. Thank you so much, John Flynn, for coming
Oh, no,
on
thank
and
you.
talking to us. I appreciate that.
I'm
And
gonna call you Cherry Bomb.
Cherry Bomb. And we'll be live with John again. So if you want to visit jterrypresents.com, please do.
Hold on, let me stand. Standing ovation.
Thank you so much, John. And I'll be live with Victoria Eloise on Wednesday. I plan on coming up live tomorrow with some stuff about masking and mask holes. So stay tuned.